So could you tell us who you are, where you've studied and where you've previously worked?
So my name's Joan Lasenby. I am currently a Professor of Image and Signal Processing at Cambridge University, and I studied maths as an undergraduate, did my PhD in physics, in astronomy in fact, went out to work in a company for a while, and I'm now an engineer.
And were you always interested in maths and physics, or?
I was, yes, from school.
And how do your studies and your previous jobs translate into what you're currently doing today?
Well, interesting. So it sounds that maybe doing maths and then astronomy is not a route into engineering or geometric algebra. But actually, a lot of what I do is image processing. A lot of what I did in astronomy is mathematical, statistical image processing. So it does, my past is very useful. How I got into geometric algebra is a slightly different question. That was somewhat by chance, but it is very useful. The mathematical background is very useful.
What would your 10-year-old self think about what you're currently doing today?
My 10-year-old self, that's a very interesting question. I think my 10-year-old self wanted to be an astronaut.
An astronaut?
Yeah, so she would not have been very impressed. I don't spend my time doing mathematics, but.
And how come you didn't pursue, like maybe becoming an astronaut or something?
I think it's something that you kids want to do because they're excited in space. Of course, I grew up during the Apollo missions, so it was a very exciting time. But in some respects, I did astronomy, so it was not,
And how would you explain your 10-year-old self what geometric algebra is?
Well, it's probably easier than explaining some mathematical systems because basically this is a mathematical system which allows me to deal with values like scalars, points, lines, planes, volumes, etc. And it's a framework in which I can manipulate those, add them, I can transform them. It's a very, very powerful geometric language. So I'd have a better go at explaining geometric algebra than I would, say, differential geometry.
But do you think, because now hearing you, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know what you're talking about. But do you think anybody can get into geometric algebra, or is it not made for everybody?
I think at some level, it is quite intuitive. Now, when you're talking about using it to do sort of high-powered physics, etc., I think you have to have, a kind of very good background in physics. But certainly low-level geometry, I think people could do it.
And what do you mean with low geometry?
Sort of intersecting lines and planes and the kind of geometry that you do at school.
Yeah.
I mean, in geometric algebra came from Clifford algebra, and Clifford had his Clifford product, which is our geometric product. And it was kind of unfortunate because he died at a very early age. Yeah. And the vector product and vector calculus came in, and that's what we teach now. So it could have been different.
But how intense is your job and geometric algebra? How? Because I can imagine it being really.
Well, the geometric algebra is the nice part of it.
Yeah.
I'm also I'm deputy head of department and head of graduate studies.
Okay.
So I have a lot of admin. So this, actually sitting down doing some research and dealing with my students is.
Oh, so you're you're kind of a.
I'm a lecturer as well. Yes.
Oh, okay. How long? How long have you been?
Oh, since 2000. 2000. Quite a long time. Longer than you were born, probably.
Yeah. And do you see in your students they're such as excited as you are, or
PhD students, yes. We don't teach it at an undergraduate level at the moment, which is a bit sad, but.
How come?
It hasn't sort of got the sort of background, you know. I mean, in order to have undergraduate classes, the rest of the staff, the faculty, have to understand something about it. The students understand more than the faculty.
Oh, right. So they don't. So if you would explain that to your students today, they wouldn't really know.
Not the undergraduates, no, unless they've done projects with me.
How can we change that, maybe?
Well, I think we change it by things like this, because I think the game and the computer graphics, etc., really does attract young people. So it's a kind of young people coming into it. And, you know, the young people will be interested in graphics and physics and engineering and computer vision, AI, you know. So I think it will change.
For those who aren't interested yet, how would you, like, convince them to become interested in, like, geometric algebra and, like, all these kind of things?
Well, I think I'm probably not the best person to do that, but there are some people here like Stephen Kenning, you know, who's organised this, who are great at doing that, really good. And I think some of the PhD students, you know, very keen on putting things out on YouTube, on Discord, on Twitter and all that.
But you can share your experience maybe as well. Maybe they think, oh.
Yeah. I think it is, you know, there's a lot of visibility now on these more social media platforms, which I tend to avoid.